While these guys are messing around, hey guys, Chris from Hockey Tutorial here. Today we're filming just outside Gothenburg, and we're going to be taking a look at 5-ish things that are elite points that every hockey player should know. And before we get into it, I just wanted to say a big thank you to Brendan Pralini, because we were talking on WhatsApp. You shared your video that's now live on YouTube. Great video example. And in the comments, I told you that we were going to be making our own version while I was in Sweden. So full props to you. I'm going to link his video down below. We're going to give you our take on that with a couple of different examples as well, with, of course, the guys from Nordic Hockey Center. So what are we going to be looking at, man?
We're going to be looking at where we want to keep the weight in our feet when we're skating. A little special extra technique with the knee drive in our skating strides.
Okay.
We're going to look at pressure points in the body when we're going in close battles, trying to win the puck or win the body. Stick handling and shots. And also...
something.
Last one was...
pressure points.
And also hip activation.
There we
Getting
go.
stable on the ice, getting quicker in our strides, just being better in general. I'll tell you why in a minute.
Fantastic. We're going to jump into it, guys. And of course, anything that we reference in more detail will be linked down below. And I know my stick is too long, it's a brand new stick, but ignore that. Let's jump into it.
First point is pressure points. Kind of funny. But when we go into close battles, into a player, there's always some parts of the body where it's a lot easier to get him off balance or just push him away from you. It's really crucial to know these parts on the body, and it's specialized by the joints. So the shoulder, the hip, the knees. This is where we can make the player shift his weight or lose his edges. The first pressure point we're looking at is the hip. This is the one that's going to be most beneficial and the one we see the most players use in the NHL when they try to close somebody up by the boards or just hit them. So if Jonathan goes down in a low stance here, knees out, he's stable in his hip. If I press here on his leg, he's really stable. He can just push against. But if I press up here by the hip and I do it with a little angle, I get his skate to go back or get him to go more forward. So I use his blade angles to get him away from me. So he can try to be as stable as he wants here, really, really stable. And I can take one finger and just get him to turn really easily. And when we get this in board situations, he's gonna fly. When we get to these situations and we come behind the player and we can't find a hip to push him into the boards, we need to stare him. So what I see a lot of players doing here is pressing down on the player. This is really inefficient because here I put more weight into his feet, which just makes him more stable. Of course, I can pull him back here, but that could also result in a penalty. Instead, I want to get beneath here under his tailbone and lift him off the ice so he loses the weight in the feet and gets off his balance. So when I'm here, I can press really hard, nothing happens. As soon as I get beneath, he flies in. So you get underneath the tailbone, lift him up, shoot him into the boards, and then you find the hip on the side, close up with the knee, and you won the battle. So when we're coming straight beside the player, trying to get to the puck, it's really important to win the foot and win the knee in front of his. Because once I win this knee, I can get my whole body in front of the player. So another pressure point here is his knee. So if I press on the kneecap with my knee, he folds in, gets off balance, and then I can put my whole body in front of him. So same thing here as the hip. You want to press from the side, and you kind of just want to fold this leg inwards. So here you need really strong hips to be able to win these battles. I burped. In these situations, you need really strong hips to be able to win the battles. If you're going against a player that's way stronger than you in the hips, you're not going to win this knee battle at all. The next one is the shoulders. This is something to make him lose the balance in the feet. If I'm behind him here and I push his shoulder forward, you see he leans. I can pull it back and he's about to fall. But we also make him be less useful with the stick. So if I rotate his torso, he loses his upper body control and he has a way harder time moving the puck with him. Another thing that also is the same with the puck control, but a little less efficient, is the top elbow. So when he's protecting the puck here and has this elbow high, if I can lock this elbow for him, he can't use the puck. So if I go into the boards and have this elbow tight, pushed down, he can't play the puck. And then with the shoulders, this is where we want to aim when we're hitting him. So once we aim for the shoulders, we make his body turn, and he's gonna fall to one side. So the situation is always gonna be different, but once we add all of these pressure points together and we know what to aim for, it's gonna be really easy to close the player off and make him unable to play the puck. So when we add this together, we can get the puck off him with a lot of ease. So Jonathan is just protecting the puck here. I'm on him with the elbow, pushing the hip. Another thing with the hip is when they do punch turns, it's really easy to get them off balance if we push on the hip right when they turn around. So he's skating up here, punch turn, and he's off balance. You see he's getting absolutely demolished. If you want to avoid this as a player, you can do a mohawk instead. If you do a mohawk, you angle your feet the direction he's pushing with the hip. So you're actually only getting a boost if he's pressing you on the hip. And we're also skating away with the hip the whole time. When I do a punch turn, the hip is stationary in the middle. But when I do a mohawk, I'm moving around with my whole body so he can't reach me as easily. But instead, I'm skating away with the hip. The next thing is hip activation. This is something I see a lot of young players especially are missing out on. And if you're not doing this when you're young, you're gonna have a really hard time starting to do it when you're an older player. If you're not activating these muscles all the time, you're not gonna build enough strength and the hips are gonna get behind. When Jonathan gets a low stance here, feet a little wider, and he has his kneecaps on the inside of his feet. Here he's on his inner edge, and he doesn't activate the outside of his quads and his hips. So if I move the knee here, you can see how easily the kneecaps move. And this is something that's gonna affect our glide and our strides. So we're gonna have a really hard time getting up in higher top speeds, and we're also gonna lose a lot of efficiency in those strides. Same thing in step overs. This is why Connor McDavid is so much faster than everybody else. We're also gonna get better at protecting the puck, being more stable for the hits, getting more shot power, and just being quicker moving side to side in our dekes. So when he gets down here, you want to tighten out the kneecaps here. Now, when he's stiff in the outside of his quad and hip, you see how stable he is? Now it's way harder for me to get him off balance. And he has a wider stance too, so he can easily shift his weight and get closer to the ice. So when you look at these videos, you can see very easily that we have very bad knee control when the hips aren't activated. So I'm not landing on the outside edge when I'm skating forward, and I get a very low frequency in my strides. Every stride takes too long to take. And in the step overs, I get a wider angle when I'm stepping around. I can't turn as quickly in my step overs, which makes me not being able to step so much, and we're not gonna get around quickly enough as well. There you can also see the hip control. The more the knee is bent into the circle when we're doing the step overs, the tighter we turn and the more power I get forward than pressing upwards with the knee more folded. So we get our power and our momentum more straight than going up. And this is why McDavid is so much faster at step overs than everybody else. You can yourself go in, look at the fastest lap. If you look at McDavid compared to all the other players, you can see that he's wider between his kneecaps than his feet. And if you look at the other players, they have a more narrow stance with their kneecaps and wider between their toes. And this is why McDavid is so much faster than everybody else at step overs. You see very clearly here on these videos that when my knees are folded in and I don't have this hip activation, I'm constantly landing on my inside edge, which makes me glide out to the sides and not get enough glide. It's way better glide on the outside edge. And as well, you can see that my frequency in between the strides become way slower. It takes too much time to take the next stride every time. So it's way better we get wide and we can get a more rapid pace in our skating. And also we're able to do quick turns and stops in the skating strides. You can imagine this a little as a F1 car compared to a drag race car. A drag race car can't turn because they're very narrow. But a F1 car is a very wide-bodied car, which makes it really easy for it to turn quickly in turns. And also with the step overs, if you search up on YouTube, look at the fastest skater laps, you can see that every other player except McDavid has a more narrow stance between their kneecaps than their feet when they're doing their step overs. But what McDavid does is he's wider between his kneecaps and tighter between the feet. So the more this knee leans in when he's doing step overs, the tighter he's turning, which makes him able to take more steps without skating out to the boards. Look for yourself and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The next thing is kicking the knee. This is something that is really crucial if you want to accelerate faster on the ice. I look at players daily, NHL players, all type of levels, and I see that a lot of players aren't kicking out their knee correctly. And this is causing them to shift their weight too early. And when they shift their weight to the front leg, they don't get any grip in the toe kick from the back foot. And they're also getting worse glide in front because there's way more friction in the blade. When a lot of players are taking their strides, they're going with the knee forward, landing softly with the toe, but then they shift the weight here. So now you can see my weight is in this front leg, but I still have a lot to give from this back leg. So now I'm gonna slip up and I'm not gonna get the same glide going forward. What we want to do instead is we want to time the kick from the back leg with a little kick from the knee in front. This is so we can keep the weight on this back foot a little bit longer and get way less friction in the front blade when we're shifting the weight. So right as I'm about to fall over and shift my weight, I kick out. And then you can see this extra glide I get. So if I do it in the bad way again, no kick in the kneecap, I go in, land, and then shift the weight. And you see the glide from this outcome. Same amount of power in the movement, just a kick from the front leg, and I'm gonna get away way quicker. Right when I fall in, kick out. And I get away from the space with a lot more speed in my body. The next thing is heel pressure. So when we're skating and shooting, we want to keep the weight in the heel of the toes. This is where we're a lot more stable and we're not getting off balance. And we also have way better glide in the heel of the blade. This is something that we actually have to do good if you want to do this knee drive that I just showed you. If my heel isn't in the ice long enough, so I take my stride and I have my weight in the toe of my blade, the heel slips from the ice before I do my toe kick, which makes me have to switch my weight to the front leg. Because if I put my body weight here, I just slip. So we need to get the knees in front, chest up, and find a little more pressure on the heels than anywhere else in the foot. Then we can press out, keep the whole foot in the ice, and then right as I'm about to switch the weight, I can press my whole body weight over with just the foot. Same thing with step overs and mohawks. You don't want to have the weight on the toes, always on the heels. So if you look at McDavid again, Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, always having their weight on the heel. Try it yourself on your next practice and you're gonna feel that you're doing step overs faster than you've ever done in your entire life.
With the hip activation as well.
With the hip activation as well.
There you go.
And the heel, weight in the heel makes you do turns quicker, punch turns, pivots, everything goes quicker. So try to keep the weight in the heels and you're gonna become a quicker skater. It might look like I'm putting in a whole lot more pressure into my strides there, but I'm actually doing it with less effort than I did with the weight in the toes. You'll also see I'm getting a more narrow turn around the circle, which makes it able for me to step more. The next part is a little quick tips with shooting and getting the puck loaded easier on the stick. This is gonna make us a bigger threat when we step into the zone. So the first thing is just basically how we hold the stick. A lot of players keep their whole hand on the stick, and if you have a pretty normal length on your stick, this is gonna make it really hard to get control of the toe. Try this for yourself and stick handle. You can almost see on me that most of the control of the blade is on the heel of the stick. When I put my pinky finger on the top of my knob and only hold the stick with 4 fingers, I get a lot more control over the toe. You can almost see this now when I'm stick handling. So why do we want control over the toe? This is where the most crucial part comes in with our shooting technique. If we're not controlling the toe good enough, we're not going to get a good release, and it's going to be very hard to aim the puck. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can go back and look at our old video we did on Hockey Tutorials channel, where we talked more about shot speed and getting more power into your shots. Then, when we're stick handling, so we basically want to open the palm and close it in. This is called pronation and supination. So basically when I'm stick handling, I'm always loading for a shot. So I'm not stick handling in front of me like this, because here I'm not a threat towards the shot and I can only make the pass. But once I get this elbow out and tuck this wrist in, now I'm moving the puck more feet to feet, and I keep the puck more under my forehand side, which is where I can shoot it and pass. Then when we break into zone, we never want to shoot in stride. In today's hockey, it's stupid because the goalies are getting smarter and they read us like a book. So instead, with the supination and pronation, we load the puck and put the weight on one foot, get the weight in the heel of the blade, and here I open up the body inside to the ice, and here I become a threat to multiple options. So now I can pass, I can shoot, and I can also drop the puck and keep skating around the defender. Another thing as well is to stop stick handling when you're going into zone. So every time I'm moving the puck to my backhand side, I can't shoot or pass. And the goalies and defenders are aware of this. Something that myself as a defender do when a forward is like this and stick handles, I always go for the poke check, because no way in hell can he shoot on me here. So instead we just keep it on the toe, glide in, be a threat the whole time, and then we pass it or shoot, depending on which decision is the best. If you want a better understanding of this, go and look at the video on elite goal scoring, also here on Hockey Tutorials YouTube channel, where I break it down easier and a lot more in depth of how we can make the best situation for us when we're going in and trying to score. So hockey is basically a sport that's based on luck. It's the most amount of luck in hockey than compared to any other sport out there. It's approximately 68% skill and the rest is luck. But the funny thing is we can create our own luck. If you know who Paul Maurice is, Florida Panthers trainer, he's won 2 Stanley Cups on creating his own luck. But that's a whole different story. Now, all the players, go and try this out for yourself. Feel that you're getting better on the ice and not just being on practice. And subscribe and like the video. Thank you guys.